All right, welcome everyone. Today's topic is expressive journaling and the journey of life. And really excited about this topic. And my name is Arti Kumar Jain, and I'll let Lexi introduce herself. I do not want to chop up your last name, Lexi.
Yes, Lexi Paulini.
What a beautiful last name. The whole name is beautiful, actually. Beautiful name. And so, look, I'm already tongue tied for today. That happens sometimes. So Lexi is a volunteer with the Holistic Life Care, and I am the executive director. And one of our focuses for this year is really helping to highlight some expansive webinars and giving opportunities to make sure that everyone feels like they get a platform to be able to really go into topics that actually are very therapeutically healing. And things that are myths, right? Like there are a lot of myths around how to do things. And so we want to kind of help debunk those. Yeah. All right. We're going to do a quick mindfulness activity because everything I have decided revolves around us taking a few moments to breathe and especially just to reflect. So before I start, I want you all to know that if you feel like you want to close your eyes, completely welcome. If you feel like you want to soften your gaze and look down, completely welcome. If you want to lay down, if you want to sit in your chair, if you are not even in the mood to engage in the practice, everything's accepted. That's what mindfulness is. However, I do strongly recommend that you give it a shot because you'll never know unless you try. And I did a talk the other day. And Lexi and I were at the Spiritual Holistic Expo in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I did a talk on Saturday morning about mindfulness versus meditation. And there is a difference. So that's why I love mindfulness, because the pressure comes off a little bit. If you get to relaxation is not the goal. It can be something that you get. The whole idea is to be present. If you have thoughts, completely normal. If you need to let them go, that's fine as well. All right, I like to turn off my camera too. I have found that it's helpful because sometimes I feel like participants start to look at the facilitator and what they're doing, and that's not what this is about, right? And it is about your practice and building. So that is the goal. So I am actually going to take off my mine. And I've recently, the more that I am taking mindfulness facilitation programs, I'm also not playing music as much because music in itself is wonderful, but it is also somewhat of a distractor because we start to focus on the music. So I just want us to take a reflective moment on just experiencing our five senses in our body when we do this. And I want y'all to know that I am actually going to read off of a script today. Sometimes I do freestyle, but I am actually going to read off a script because I am actually trying to get workplace mindfulness going very soon in different settings. And they have encouraged us to use scripts to introduce things to. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to take myself off of camera. So this one is called the Awareness of Breath Meditation. Awareness of breath practice, also known as mindful breathing, is the practice of focused attention on the natural flow of the breath. The practice involves focusing on the breath with curiosity and non-judgment. Observing when the mind wanders and bringing the focus back to the breath. This may happen over and over many times as we strengthen our mental muscles of attention. Note that this breath practice does not involve changing or manipulating the breath in any way, such as in yoga or other conscious breathing exercises. Although bringing awareness to the breath may have the natural impact of shifting breathing patterns. Potential benefits. attention, health and well being, clarity, and self regulation, engagement. This is an awareness of breath meditation. The guidance offered here is just an invitation. If at any point you want to open your eyes, shift your body, modify, or stop the practice, you are welcome to do so. Begin by finding a comfortable position, one that reflects wakefulness and stability, a posture that reflects your intention to be fully present for this practice. Allowing the hips and lower body to be heavy, supported by your chair or your bed, cushion, anything that is providing you support. The spine can be straight but not stiff. It helps if the feet are making connection with the floor. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or just taking a soft downward gaze. Turning your attention now to the breath, breathing and aware that you are breathing. Simply attending to the breath as it flows in and out of the body. There's no need to control the breath or improve or change it in any way. Just being with your breathing, however it is, and offering an interested and friendly attention. Know that thinking about breathing is not the same as feeling the breath. In this practice, we are cultivating the ability to have a direct, felt sense experience of the breath as it moves in and out of the body. Beginning now to notice where you feel the breath most vividly. It might be at the tip of the nostrils, noticing the temperature of the breath, cool as it enters, and perhaps warm as it releases, or perhaps nothing at all. Just noticing the belly, sensing an expanding and releasing of the belly as breath flows in and out. The chest, the rising and falling of this area of the body as the lung fills and empties. Finding that place where you feel the breath most prominently and resting your attention there. Letting it be a reliable anchor to the present. Settling into just being with your breathing. As you do so, if you find that focusing on the breath is not supportive for you today, feeling free to shift your attention to a more familiar or supportive anchor, which can be sound, your feet, the hands, or the feeling of the body in your supportive place. When you notice that your mind has wandered, gently but kindly bring it back to the breath over and over and over again if that's what's needed today. Remembering that this practice is not about stopping thoughts, but about noticing when you become distracted and returning to your intended focus. This is the moment of mindfulness. Investigating the breath with curiosity and kindness. Is it deep or shallow in this moment? Is it slow or fast? Does it stay the same or change? Can you be aware of the pauses at the top and the bottom of the breath? The still point where the breath turns around? You might notice the rhythm and flow of the breath, perhaps having a sense of being able to ride the waves of the breath. Knowing that even as we focus on the breath, thoughts will continue to arise in the mind, emotions will come and go, sensations will arise in the body. This is normal. As best you can, let any thoughts, emotions, sensations, and distractions be in the background of your awareness. And in the foreground, rest your attention on the sensation of breathing. No need to force anything. This is a gentle turning of the attention towards the breath. Staying close to the direct experience of breathing, what's here to be discovered? Coming back in if you've lost yourself in thoughts. You might notice your mind beginning to wander if you are doing this right, or thoughts about whether you like or don't like this practice. As best you can, simply observe these thoughts and then gently return your attention to the breath. Just this moment, just this breath, in and out. Now expanding your field of awareness to encompass the entire body from the bottom of the feet to the top of the head. Awareness of the whole body breathing. Awareness of the subtle movement of the body as the breath comes in and goes out. Being with this moment just as it is. Just sitting here or just being, just breathing. As we come to the close of this practice, acknowledging that by doing this practice, you have made time for your own well being, knowing that you can return to the anchor of breath or body throughout your evening as needed to help calm and steady the mind. Gently opening your eyes when you're ready, maybe wiggling your fingers and your toes, gently stretching if you would like, reawakening your body and mind. Moving now into the rest of your evening with increased awareness and steadiness. Giving yourself gratitude for engaging in this practice for however long. Thank you all so much for taking or allowing me to take this moment. I do find that everything needs to start some way, whether it be a short amount of time or longer, where we give ourselves some time to have some reflective moments. So maybe a little bit later, you can, if you want in the chat box, you can share how your experience was. So we're talking about journaling today. I'm going to move it to Lexi in just a minute, but I want to share with you all that journaling is powerful. Expressive journaling is a modality that came out not too long ago to really allow that free forum of allowing for that flow of emotion. There's been a lot of misinformation, and one of the myths is that it needs to be forever long or it needs to be complete sentences. And from my point of view, you can have anything from phrases to pictures to sentences. It is yours, just like the mindfulness practice. It's yours. No one can take away it from you, and no one can give you directions around it. You'll build your own, but extremely therapeutic and very beneficial. And I'm going to hand it over to Lexi, who's going to do an awesome job telling you all about the benefits and why it's so important and how to go about incorporating it into your lives.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for guiding us through the meditation. That was really nice. Let's see. Okay, so I absolutely agree with what you said about how it, doesn't have to be complete sentences. It can be anything really. I think when I first got into journaling, it was mainly just me making lists, which lists are like something I love to make. So that was really easy for me to get into it. Just, lists of things I want to do, places I want to go. So I think that's really important to remember, is just that journaling can be so many different things. It doesn't always have to be you like expressing your feelings or your emotions, nor does it always have to be centered around that. So I think that goes into like listening to your needs, because some days you may need to let out your emotions. So you may want to write it down, or you may want to set a goal, or, reflect on a dream that you have. So that could be something that you do when you journal, as well as if you need to do, forgiving practice or something you're learning. I commonly find things that I feel like I want to try through, websites like Pinterest and stuff, and then I'll add it to my journal and go back in there and, end up doing it in the future. And it's always something you can go back to down the road when you're, looking for creativity or something. So I think it's important to just be kind to yourself during this process, because what you need or what you want today may not be what you need or what you want tomorrow or next week, or, in the future. Things change, and there are just different times in your life. So I think it's just important to reflect on that and to just, be thankful for how far you've come and like everything you've accomplished in your life. Yeah. So I'm going to go over some of the journaling practices that I have, starting with gratitude and manifesting. So I know that everyone has things that they want in life. We all do. So I think it's important to, before you wish for more in your life, to just give thanks for what you do have. So if you go through your day and you try to identify, maybe when you wake up in the morning or before you go to bed at night, if you try to identify three things that you can show gratitude for, and this can be given for like many different things. It can be given for people, actions, belongings, emotions, characteristics, just so many different things in your life. So it doesn't always have to be giving gratitude for something revolving around you. It can be, giving gratitude for this person you have in your life, or something someone did for you in the past, or a good day you had last week, or things along those lines. I've found that it works well for me when I am manifesting in my journal to write in the context of I'm so happy and thankful for blank in my life, because in that context you're kind of like, I already have this is mine, and you're kind of claiming it. That kind of goes into practicing and telling yourself that you're worthy and capable of obtaining your goals and dreams, because it's important to just believe that you're worthy and that you're good enough, you know, before trying to have these blessings come in or accept them. But another thing I've learned is that I think that if you are manifesting for something in your life and it doesn't turn into what you thought it would be, then I think that most of the time that's for the better. And something that is better for you probably is coming. Or maybe it wouldn't have been what you thought it would have been. Or there have been times where I manifested and I was like, this is like what I want. I'm happy and thankful to have this. And then, a few months down the road, I'm like, well, I'm actually glad it didn't turn out that way, because so many other things came into my life because of it not turning out the way that I thought I wanted it to. So, yeah. And then we all know about these, I'm sure: mantras, affirmations, and intentions. Uh, so the first three are mantras, the second three are affirmations, and then the third three are intentions. And some that I have on here: I'm gentle and loving to myself as I learn and grow. I deserve to accomplish my goals. I release my attachment to anything that no longer serves me. I'm good enough. I am safe. I'm worthy. Some other affirmations that you can tell yourself: I trust you. I forgive you. I love you. Intentions: I will be mindful of self sabotaging behaviors. I will respect the gift that is my intuition. I will set and stick to boundaries. Yeah, so there is also plenty more of these. If you are interested in Pinterest, or even honestly, if you're like feeling stuck, you can do Google, or if you use social media frequently, I find it helpful to follow accounts that post these kind of things, because I think if you are going to be on social media, it's important to have some healthy consumption. Yeah. And then forgiveness has been a big thing with me, with journaling. I think because you everyone has some things that maybe they, find it hard to let go of, but I think ultimately you can't carry the baggage forever. So I think forgiveness is really, really important. And I think that it's important to learn about forgiveness, if you don't already know, that it doesn't have to be a traditional or verbal interaction. Many people think that forgiveness is someone starting with saying, I'm sorry, and the other person starting with saying, I forgive you. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a verbal interaction. You don't even have to tell someone you forgive them, because you're not forgiving for them. You're forgiving for you and for your own well being. And that kind of goes into, it doesn't, if you forgive someone, that doesn't mean that they are guaranteed access to you, because again, it's for you, and it's not for them. It's for you and for your well-being. And you know, that kind of goes in with like boundaries and stuff too. But so also remembering, this kind of is where it starts to go in with shadow work, is that forgiving is not exclusively for other people. So we also need to forgive ourselves for things that maybe we have done during a different time in our life that we're not so proud of. So it's important to also forgive yourself and just show yourself the same compassion that you try to show other people when you're letting go of things. And shadow work is that process of showing compassion to yourself during the journey of learning self forgiveness. So, a big thing that I have learned while practicing shadow work is when I notice I start to show signs of judgment, I kind of can reflect and think, what's caused me to feel this way? Because commonly it's an underlying belief that you have. And then how can you give compassion to these parts of yourself? Because ultimately, I think with judgment, it's not really anything to do with the other person. I think it's really internal. And I think that when people judge another person, I don't think it really has much to do with the other person. I think it kind of has to do with their inner voice. And, you know, I think that if we gave our inner voice more compassion and just the sides of ourselves that maybe cause us to want to judge more compassion, then it would, help us to unlearn those patterns. Yeah. Okay, so this is a reflective prompt that I have that I kind of go through day to day. If I'm not writing it down, I maybe would just read it over and kind of do it internally. So, how are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? What can you do to improve this? And then thinking of 3 things you're grateful for, 3 affirmations, and how did or will you practice self love today? And envisioning your dream future while describing what you see and feel, or even like just internally visualizing it, and giving thanks for all that you have and will accomplish because it's really a journey. Yeah. So that was most that was it for me. Or at least all of the sides that I had to go over, just some things. Yeah.
Thank you, Lexi, so much because I think first of all, there are a couple of when I listen to you speak, I really appreciate. I always appreciate people's authenticity and rawness, and you can tell that it's been really helpful for you and in your journey and even for me. I was when I was thinking about this whole topic in my own story and journaling. I was thinking about how when I was a teenager, I would journal about like what was happening in soap operas.
Yeah.
So, like, I realized I was so fascinated by other people's stories for a really long time, and then I remember my 20s when I read some of my teen ones and kind of those raw feelings that come out. And so
Yeah.
you kind of forget about this practice, right? Like, I think we forget along each decade how it can so soak in and take, because all we're doing is holding it all in, right? Sometimes there's no place to release jealousy and envy and hatred and all of what's called our negative emotions, right?
Yeah.
But this is the one place where, you know, there is no judgment because you don't have to tell anyone. And I often say, I don't know if you all feel this way, and Lexi, if you feel this way, I get tired of talking about things after a while. Like, I don't really want to talk about it after a while. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much that you can only talk that you just need some like pouring out of that doesn't talk back to you. This is
Right.
it.
And I think that growing up with diaries, especially, that was like a common misconception about journaling, was that it always
Mhm.
had to be a release. So
Yes.
when I realized it can be anything, I was like, well, I'm going
Mhm.
to put my lists in there. I'm going to put,
Yes.
some art projects I want to do. I'm going to write those down in there. And then it kind of just like snowballed into just like everything else. So,
Yes. It's like permission giving. And that's exactly why we're doing some of these workshops, is to give the idea that not that you need permission, not that anyone should have to have permission around mindfulness. For instance, it should be your own reflective practice, or journaling, it should be get to be your own. But somehow we have lost sight of, because somebody around somewhere said, "Oh, you need to journal every day." And it needs to be complete sentences. And you're like, "Oh, I can't, I'm not, no, I'm not doing that." Right. And then somehow when we get into these conversations where it's like, no, you get to DY, you is design a yourself program here too. Right. You get to design
Right.
it the way you want it.
However feels right for you.
Yes. Yes. And that's essential. So for those of you who feel like, this journaling is not cut out for me, I don't want to do it. Lexi just shared lists. I don't journal every day right now. I journal, like I write like notes. Sometimes I write to my mom, sometimes I write to myself, sometimes I write like a sentence. It just depends on I just go with my present moment on what I need. And I have multiple journals. I have one to myself. I have a dreams. You can design this however you want. And that's what makes it such a beautiful gift to ourselves, that you don't have to. And just to give you all some context with expressive journaling, they are finding it so helpful in the healthcare settings too. Patients who have cancer who are having an opportunity to write are actually having better outcomes. These are all evidence based practices. They're having better outcomes in their cancer program and their cancer treatment when it is a part of their program. Even with chronic pain, in addition to when you have these practices of mindfulness and expressive writing, where you get to do a release, or even if it's not a release, it's just getting a place to be, very much so.
Definitely.
So Lexi, how do you feel about we all take a few minutes to do to do something from one of your reflective prompts?
Okay. Yeah, that would be good.
I really love these, by the way, because excuse me, what you're highlighting, that scale of 1 to 10, so important to keep an eye on our internal the temperature, right? Our regulation.
Yes.
I'm gonna take myself off of camera while I write.
Okay.
Lexi, I didn't share this with everyone, but in addition to cancer patients, they're also doing a lot of work with seniors in journaling and the efficacy of them getting a chance. And I'm not just even talking about, like, for instance, examples of legacy writing projects. Even though that's not a journal, each entry for like Storyworth is kind of a way for them to be able to express themselves and their story. And so we talk about expressive journaling, expressive writing, the idea that you get to share parts of I mean, it's all in legacy. So they've shown improvements with even seniors in
That's great.
terms of their overall life, like what's that? Contentment with life.
Yeah, that's great. I find that with the affirmations and the intentions and things like that, I find that even if you don't fully like believe something that you're writing at the time, it helps to actually have it come from you. Those things.
Yes, and thank you for acknowledging that. Yes, especially around affirmation work, there are times, even with when you are feeling depressed or anxious or any of those kinds of modalities, sometimes you're like, I'm not really feeling this, but there is something with the energy field that when you start using those affirmations, like exactly what you said, the energy field and the shift that happens at the cellular level with feeding that basic positivity at the cellular level in our body, it basically then transmits itself also into our brains, which again is part of the issue that happens, right? When we get into that negative space, it literally can change your whole outlook and perspective. Um, so yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up because there are days you're not feeling those affirmations, so you don't want to do them, or they don't matter, or you're really in a place where you just think it all sucks. You
Yeah,
know, we've all had those moments, but it does help to turn it around just a little bit when you start to see it or and feel it.
definitely. And it still comes from you, even if you're, you know, journaling it.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to share, if they're up for it, how this experience or even the mindfulness experience has been for you, the earlier that we did, or something you're pondering while you're doing this, or your journaling experience. Um, I was just looking on my little one and I noticed this pattern of most of my sentence stems um, as Lexi mentioned, like, sentence stems or phrases like the I am is a great way, of course, of starting those affirmations to really get to that heart center. And it's this focus that I feel like I realized I was looking at my sentence stems and mine all started mainly with I want. And I realized, where else am I going to get to be able to do that, in that space where I literally can look at my words and reflect. And that's why it's so powerful. So if you want to share any perspectives or any thoughts you're having in the chat box or anything, you're more than welcome to do that. And I know we're wrapping it up a little bit early today, but the real reason behind that is we want you to take some time to actually just sit. Oh, we have something in the chat box.
I loved the journaling prompts. They were great. Thank you. I'm so glad that you liked them, and I'm so glad that you're here. All of you. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
being here.
totally. There are great prompts. Really great, simple, not complex. Sometimes I have clients who want to get into journaling and they just need prompts, and like, these are beautiful. They're simple and not anything that's so overwhelming that they are not manageable. Um, and so I think it's, oh yes, so for the next for the next 15 minutes, if you can just take some time And whether it be to write or to draw pictures or do whatever, like Lexi and I've talked to you all about, just getting a forum to express yourself. And you may not, and journaling doesn't always mean a journal. It also means paper. I told a client of mine to stick some pieces of paper and staple them together one day. I'm like, it is yours. You can do it however you want. Old
Right.
school stapled pieces of paper like kids make their notebooks. Like my girls like love stapled paper right now, you know?
For some reason, that made me think of ripping leaves from the ground into a bunch of
Mhm.
little
Yeah,
pieces.
totally. Totally. Well, everyone, just a little bit of background context also before we let you go. The Holistic Life Care is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. We really are looking at helping coaching through the lifespan and like all of life's transitions because there's so many. And coaching is a great modality because it's person centered, really helping for those goals, dreams, and aspirations to be heard, felt, seen, all of the above. And also just doing a lot of debunking of myths through education and quick little webinars and workshops um, and really excited to have Lexi on board because of her great expansive where she is in her own program and where she wants to go, and really excited to have some volunteers just come on board. So if you're interested and you really want the experience of presenting a topic, please let Lexi know. Please, those of you who are watching afterwards. And Lexi can tell you there's no time commitment. You just do what you need to want to do. We have things all the way from trying to manage social media to giving ideas of how can we collaborate on research to debunking, like I said, debunking myths. And if you can, we have an Instagram and our website, and Lexi has her information on here. And if you haven't checked out her awesome webpage, oh my God, it's so gorgeous. Her work with it's just so beautiful, and all of where her life's journey is taking her physically and how she's. Sorry, I'm talking about you in the third person, Lexi. I know you're here, but
It's okay.
but the idea behind this mind body spirit connection that she definitely carries with her and that she has invoked in all of her beautiful photographs. So check out her awesome
Thank you, thank you,
website.
thank you. Yes, my blog has mainly photography, but I'm hoping once I expand and start doing more holistic stuff that I can add that there too, because it's just everything that I love. So yeah. And
Fantastic.
thank you. Jeannie said, thank you for putting this together. It has been really insightful. And Cassidy said, thank you so much for this. Definitely going to use these writing techniques moving forward. Thank you both so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. And if
And
you can, we'll be putting this on YouTube towards the end of the week. If you can tell folks to watch it later, some of your friends who, you know,
absolutely. And if anyone's looking for holistic life coaching and they want a local woman owned business, tell them about Gaia Holistic Life Care. Thank
thanks.
you for having me and
Oh,
having.
such a great forum. Oh, look, there's a heart. I know sometimes we all have some Zoom fatigue, but then you're reminded of things like this. And a last thing, y'all, if you are in a setting where you're able to just incorporate either a temperature check-in, if you have to do these online Zooms or some type of mindfulness activity, please encourage your folks. Like, if I know some of you who are in school right now, your professors, you may have ones that are really open to feedback. Maybe you can check in with them on office hours and tell them, like, I think it'd be really helpful, to just have a little check in, however you want to phrase it. Some are more, you're going to always know who you can gauge, right? I always tell people to trust their gut, but trust your gut. But wherever you can kind of insert this, let's not always go into work mode or, you know, like get into it before you have time to not even reset to be present. That is like a critical component before we move into everything. Alrighty, have fun putting pen to paper.
Thank you so much. You all have a nice night. We will see you.
Yes. Good night, everyone.